Okay, so hello, my name is Grant Cadillac.
Jill, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So we're visiting today just to go over a couple things, a couple nutrition-related issues that I see kind of in your diet. We're also going to be going over a couple of good things that I see that I want you to continue. So to start off, we're just a couple things. Like I said, we're going to be going over some good things that I see. Some things that we kind of maybe want to change in the diet, and then after we kind of identify that, we're gonna look at some goals to help change those things in the diet.
Sounds good.
And then we're gonna, after that, of course, discuss some follow-up plans and different things like that. So to begin, the positive points that I see, let's get your history and diet record out. So some positive things, I see a good BMI. So as you see here, your BMI is about 24%. Not 24%, excuse me, 24, the BMI is at 24, and that's right where we need to be. Any higher would be considered overweight. 25 is overweight.
Okay.
So you're good there.
So I'm right on the cusp.
You're right on the cusp, yes,
Okay, so
yes, but you're in the range.
Okay.
So that's good. A lot of things that I see nowadays, especially with increasing fast foods and added sugars in the diet, I see a lot of trans fat consumption. And so right there, you can see that you are less than 1% of calories, which is good. That's perfect, because that's our recommendation, is less than 10% of our total energy underneath that trans fat mark. Lastly, I see our energy intake is perfect. So you're calculated to have 1,900 calories, and anywhere between 1,900 and 2,000 calories, and you're at 1,924.
Okay.
So that's just, of course, going off of your food record and your 24-hour recall. So what we see here also is that all of our macronutrients, protein, carbohydrate, and fat, you're in the ranges for those, which is really good. So what you see here, you're supposed to have 10 to 35% protein, you have 18%, that's in the range. Carbohydrates, you're supposed to have 45% to 65%, you're in the 54% range, and that's perfect right there. Fat, 25 to 35%, you're in the 24% right there.
Okay.
So you're right in the middle of all those, which is really good. So a couple things that I noticed that need to be changed. So as you can see here, our sodium right here, it's a little bit high. So that's one thing that I want you to consider when we're going through this, is kind of, what things you want to change and what things are most important to you.
How much sodium should you have in your diet?
So sodium should be 1,500 milligrams.
Okay.
And we don't, if you're any higher, 2,300, that's kind of where we draw the mark. And so...
Yes, I would assume my sodium intake with the fast food and other things.
Yes.
Okay.
So, right. And so, what we also see is that our iron, let's see, iron right here, that's a little bit low. So, especially for women, you guys need a little bit more higher iron. And so, that's a little bit low. I'm not concerned right now because you are on the higher, the higher end of the low scale. So what we want to do is build up those stores back, because right now they're kind of being drained. Iron stores take a long time to kind of get down, but we want to be proactive and go after that iron storage and build that up. Next, we see a potassium inadequacy. So right here, you see you're only at 53% of where you're supposed to be. And so, like sodium, you want it to, those are kind of complementary of each other usually in the diet. So a lot of people that we see with high sodium intakes have lower potassium intakes.
Okay.
So what we want to do with that is kind of identify some foods. We'll do that later, of course. But there, it's a lot of bananas, fruits, rather than the salty chips, some of the other fast foods. We can go over those in a little bit, right?
Okay.
And lastly, what I see that we're a little bit low in is vitamin D. So you're only at 22% there. So with all these things considered, I want you to pick two of these issues that you are most that you believe are most important to you, and which ones you're more willing to kind of attack? And
I would think sodium is
Okay.
very important, and the iron.
sodium and iron. Okay, perfect. We can do that. So, with that being said, our sodium and iron, I have a couple things for you to, I guess, help reduce those. So these two are recipes to reduce your sodium intake. So
Okay.
these recipes, this is a chicken and asparagus tossed with pin. So this is a more of a full meal.
Okay.
So whenever you want to try something new, I saw that you said you cook a lot of the same things over again. So this is just to kind of mix it up. If that becomes something that you enjoy and try new recipes and things like that, we can always find new ones for you.
Okay.
But for your snacks, because I did see a lot of snack consumption, a lot of chips and different things like that, we have crispy potato skids recipe. So
Okay.
that's something that you can whip up really fast. It doesn't have a whole lot of sodium at all,
Okay.
and that's something that may satisfy your craving for something
Right,
a little
right.
a little bit
Because
less
I do
sweet.
like salty
Yeah,
snack.
yeah, and that's
foods.
something perfect for
Okay.
that. So, for iron, we have a big old list of iron-rich foods. So you can see a lot of meat and eggs. Iron is usually in the American diet not something that's low or deficient in. So just pay attention to these foods. We're gonna go over some goals just here in a little bit to kind of make sure we wanna where we want to be with that. You can
Okay.
see a lot of the meat that you eat every day, seafood, spinach, a lot of greens, lots of leafy greens
Right,
have
I could
a high
definitely
iron.
increase my green
Mhm.
intake to increase my
Yeah,
iron.
yeah, and then of course with the bread and cereals, you have a lot of enriched foods there. So a bowl of cereal in the morning, something
Okay.
like that, would be a huge help. But since you have identified that that's what you want to focus on is the iron and sodium, I'll give that to you. We want to come up with some goals,
Okay.
and so I'm going to pull up a new document, and we can make some goals, and then from there, of the goals, we'll rank the goals to see which ones are most important, which ones are most feasible to you, which ones you think that again you're willing to take out. So for the sodium, something that I've seen in the past is, of course, snack foods. I know I keep on mentioning that, but snack foods are a lot high source of sodium
Okay.
in the diet, especially chips, especially cookies, ice cream, things like that. And so I think one of our goals would be how many times do you think you snack a day?
Oh, I would say at least 3 times.
3 times a day?
So,
Okay, so
Salty snacks.
salty snacks, yeah.
Yes.
So how about instead of 3 times a day, how about we limit ourselves to 1 snack a day?
Okay, that's doable.
That's doable? Okay. So we're gonna say I will have 1 salty snack a day. Okay. And then something else that I also see is cooking with adding a lot of salt in your cooking,
Yes.
a lot of seasonings.
I definitely do add too much seasoning to my food.
Okay, and so for there, whenever you cook, how much salt do you think you add?
I'm not sure, but I do use a lot of products that have sodium in it, like
Okay.
Seasonal and
Okay.
products like that. So I guess I could find products that are lower sodium or have less sodium
Okay.
in them,
Okay.
and just use it separately
Yeah,
than the
yeah.
Seasonal.
So let me ask you this: how many times do you cook a day
Um,
or a week? I'm sorry.
Probably about 5 times a week.
5 times a week. Okay,
Yes.
so just to start off, we don't want to push you over the limits. But just to start off, we'll say we'll use low sodium seasonings for 2 out of the 5 times you cook a week.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
That's doable.
Use low sodium seasonings 2 out of the 5 times we cook a week. Okay, and so we'll move on to iron now.
Okay.
So for iron, a lot of things, like I said, in the diet include iron. So what I think we want to do is just incorporate one of those high iron sources into our diet per
Right.
day.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be something that's totally out of the ordinary. You don't have to
Okay.
eat dandelion greens or chard,
Okay.
once a day. But we can choose something, like I mentioned before, some enriched cereals, enriched grains.
I'm not really a breakfast eater,
Okay.
so if I incorporate enriched cereal in my diet in the mornings, I think would be a good idea.
That would be a good idea. Okay, so we'll say, so you never eat breakfast?
Very rarely.
Very rarely. Okay, so let's say 2 times a week. Let's
Okay.
stick with it. Number 2. I will eat, let's say, grains. We'll say 3 cups.
Okay.
I will eat 3 cups of iron fortified cereal for breakfast 2 times a week. And 2 times, of course, just because when we start something, it's a whole lot easier to kind of start
Right.
ourselves slow.
Right.
If we don't make the mark, it's a little bit easier to forgive ourselves.
Okay.
So,
I think I can manage that.
you can manage that, okay. And so we can also come up with something similar to this goal, but we can replace it with something that you eat, on the regular. So anything such as seafood. I know seafood doesn't make it into my diet a whole lot. Cooking it's a bit of a challenge. So if you want, how often do you cook seafood?
Not very regularly because
Okay.
we live in Texas,
Okay.
but it would be nice to be able to incorporate that into our
Okay,
diet a
okay.
little bit. Maybe once a week have a seafood dish.
Definitely. So we'll do that. We'll say, I will incorporate seafood into my cooking. Is there any particular kind that you like? Or you take-
Shrimp, I think,
Shrimp?
is my
Okay.
favorite. Yeah.
Shrimp is number 1 on the list, so we're perfect there. Shrimp into my cooking once a week. Okay.
Okay.
So, I think we have some pretty good goals here. Just if you want to look over them again,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that you think they're attainable. You think that they can be done.
Right.
absolutely.
Absolutely. I can definitely limit my salty snacks.
Okay.
I realize that I eat way too many salty snacks.
Okay.
And sodium, I know, is a big issue. Not only with the seasoning that I use, but with canned vegetables and things like that. So
Right.
I can learn how to decrease that in our diet when I cook.
Okay.
And then the eating the breakfast, it might be a little bit harder, but I'll definitely try to do that
Okay.
2 times a week. And then cooking shrimp would not be a challenge at all. I
Okay.
just need to make sure I get in there and do that.
Perfect. Okay. And I just want to let you know that if you do fall short on one of these goals, not a big deal at all. I've
Okay.
fallen short of plenty of goals. I just want you to come back, when we follow up, be honest, so we can make you get those goals that you want to be at.
Okay, awesome.
So, with that being said, I next want you to rank them 1 through 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Like which one I want to do?
Which
one is more important?
Yes. Which one is most important to you? Which ones you think you can handle the best, and go from there.
I definitely think the number 1 thing I can handle is eliminating salty snacks.
Okay. Okay.
And then incorporating seafood, that'll be number 2 for sure.
Got it.
Use lower sodium seasoning would be number 3, and then the iron fortified cereal would definitely be the most challenging, so I'll
Okay.
put that as number 4.
Okay. Well, we can do that. That's perfect. Now that you have kind of chosen those and identified which ones are easier, we're going to focus on those.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to focus on the eliminating the salty snacks and seafood
Okay.
into cooking.
Okay.
So what I want to help you do now is come up with a little tip, a couple of tips for each one.
Okay.
So salty snacks, something that I like to try a lot is having a strict time for eating.
Okay.
So rather than kind of going throughout the day not knowing when I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna say I'm eating lunch at 1 o'clock, noon,
Okay.
1 o'clock, somewhere around there, just so I have that thing to kind of anchor me down in my day.
Okay.
So I don't go home and feel hungry and feel snackish. But you know, if you do have that one salty snack a day, that's perfectly okay, because of course we all kind of have those cravings. So I'm gonna write down kind of time your meals.
Okay.
Next, we're going to, let's see, something else that helps me for salty snacks.
Should I pick something that I want to eat, like that's not salty, and make sure that I eliminate all the salty snacks? Just get rid of those? Would that be helpful?
We don't have to totally get rid of those.
Okay.
I guess one thing, when you are grocery shopping, there's a whole lot of different things that you can pick up, right? So what I want you to focus on is, would you say that you eat fruits and vegetables a lot? Are you a fan of fruits and vegetables?
I am a fan of them, but I'd rather pick up a bag of chips.
Right,
But
okay.
so now I will have to focus on grabbing
Okay.
a healthier fruit or vegetable snack.
Right. So we don't have to, totally eliminate salty snacks again.
Okay.
But and we also don't have to choose, the only fresh fruits and only fresh vegetables to snack on, because
Okay.
that's a little bland sometimes.
Okay.
But what we do want to focus on is lower sodium. So
Okay.
whenever we're grocery shopping, we're going to limit the high sodium snacks
Okay.
whenever we're shopping. Okay.
Okay.
So
That's right, because if they're not in the house, then you're not tempted to
Exactly,
eat them.
exactly.
So you just keep them out of your house.
right. For shrimp and seafood now, we can look up a couple recipes, because that's something that it's, it's always helpful to kind of know
Okay.
what you're doing in the kitchen. But just daily, we want to incorporate some shrimp to get some iron. So what we want to do is make sure that this shrimp is fresh, because
Okay.
shrimp that's not fresh. We want to make sure that we go to we can go to local seafood markets.
Okay.
We can go to any place that sells fresh shrimp. That's something that's always beneficial
Okay.
to hit up. And so next, for the shrimp, let's look up a good recipe. Do you have any sort of particular I guess likings to shrimp? Any favorite shrimp dishes? Anything like that?
Well, of course I like fried shrimp, but
Okay.
we'll try to eliminate
Well,
that.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
try to make
Let's
it
think of
healthier
something
overall.
else.
I like grilled shrimp and
Grilled shrimp?
pasta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's something that may be beneficial too, is the pasta. The pasta, we want to look for pasta that's fortified with iron also.
Okay.
So that's perfect. That's perfect. So here you see a grilled shrimp recipe with linguine that is high in iron.
Okay.
So we're going to,
That sounds great.
yeah. I'll print whenever we're done. I'll print this out
Okay,
for you.
perfect.
And so that's just another thing you can add to the arsenal when you're cooking.
Okay.
So lastly, we want to talk about some things that are, well, not lastly, but we want to talk about some obstacles that may come up.
Okay.
And so, like I said, kind of going and snacking each day, that's a little bit trouble. Even, I have trouble with that. I know a lot of people do. So again, to overcome that, we're gonna kind of time our meals. We're gonna make sure we're eating the same times each day, so we're not as tempted to snack, or we don't
Okay.
have that urge to snack. So in seafood and shrimp and anything, what kind of obstacles do you see yourself kind of facing when it could be with cooking, it could be with finding the shrimp, with
Well, the
finding
only obstacle
recipes.
there, I guess, would be just actually getting up and cooking
Okay.
on the days that that I may not want to, and grab fast food instead. But
Right.
I know that that's going to be beneficial for me if I go to the store, buy the shrimp, and
Right.
get it and cook it.
Right.
So really, that's the only obstacle, is just getting them and cooking them.
Okay, and something that we can also do is whenever we're at the store, just buying groceries, just whatever we need, bread, water, anything like that, we can always, when we're at the store, pick up just some shrimp.
Right.
Always pick up shrimp just to have in your refrigerator, just to make sure that whenever you
They're
want
there
it,
when
they're
I
there.
want them. Okay.
Exactly. So we don't have to make a conscious effort to go to the store and make it a whole thing. To kind of just cook this one dish. We can
Okay.
always have that, especially when we go to the grocery store for anything else. These are your goals. We're gonna kind of come up with a reward system now.
Okay.
So whenever you complete your goals, whenever you only have one snack a day, one salty snack a day, whenever you cook a fresh shrimp dish, we want to make sure that you were rewarded for that, because
Okay.
that's a feat. You know, you're doing something for your benefit, for your
Right.
health. So, is there anything in particular that you like to do throughout the day? Like, what are some things you find very pleasurable, very exciting, things that you do for fun?
I enjoy going out for walks.
Going out for walks?
Yeah.
Okay.
And reading.
Reading?
And, yes.
Okay, perfect. So, what we can do is every time you limit yourself to one salty snack a day, you can go for a walk.
Right.
And
that'll be healthy.
that'll
as
be
well.
that'll be something healthy.
yeah,
Yes.
something healthy.
Or every time you cook a seafood shrimp dish, we can read a chapter out of our book.
Okay.
So things like that. I'll write those down just so you have them as ideas. And of course, you can reward yourself in different kind of ways. If you limit yourself to one salty snack a day, we probably don't want to reward ourselves with another salty snack,
Right.
right? So just be mindful of that. We'll get you some more rewards written down here. But I want to now ask you if you have any questions for me.
I don't. I think
You don't?
you were very thorough in your explanation and gave me some good tips.
Perfect.
And I think those are easy things to start off with.
Right.
And as I succeed with those goals, hopefully we'll get back together and we can
Yep.
set some more goals
Exactly,
for the
exactly.
rest of my
Okay.
dietary issues.
Okay, well, perfect. So I would say that these goals are perfect for probably a 4-week span.
Okay.
I think we can accomplish something really great in those 4 weeks.
Okay.
And come back, and I think that you'll have more tools in your belt to kind of get us closer and closer to having that perfect diet.
Awesome.
So
Very
we'll meet
good.
back in 4 weeks.
Okay.
And we'll come back with any sort of questions, any sort of failures,
Okay.
any sorts of feats. So if you make it throughout the whole 4 weeks with your salty snacks once a day, perfect. That's awesome.
Right.
If you come back and you cook a shrimp dish, less than once a week like we have, we can maybe lower that goal and kind of get you started a little bit lower.
Okay.
And there's no shame in that. Again, we just want to make sure that you're on your track to
Right,
becoming a healthier person.
Okay.
So yeah,
Awesome.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You.
Have a great day. Yes, of course.